Welcome back to T-Rock NFL, and today we're going over every 1-15 team since the year 2000 and their lone regular season win. There have actually been 11 teams to finish their regular season 1-15, but 5 of them came before the year 2000. So if you want a vid on the pre-2000s 1-15 team's lone win, let me know in the comments. But let's get into the first team on our list, the 2000 San Diego Chargers. This team went 8-8 in the previous season, and we're going into year 3 of the Ryan Leaf era. But things didn't go according to plan, as the Chargers had a total of 1,062 rushing yards, the lowest of any team in NFL history. And fun fact, 13 teams in the 1982 strike-shortened season, which had a total of 9 games, amassed more rushing yards than this 2000 Chargers team that played 16 games. This team featured 2 Pro Bowlers, Darren Bennett and Junior Seau, but they weren't enough to drag this team to a win in any of their first 11 games. They finally won a game in Week 13 at home where they met the 5-6 Kansas City Chiefs. The Chargers jumped out to a 14-3 lead off not 1, but 2 Ryan Leaf touchdowns. Then the Chiefs would score 13 unanswered points. Now we have a 16-14 ball game entering the fourth quarter, and 11 scoreless minutes later, the Chargers would take advantage of a 35-yard punt return and nail a 52-yard field goal to win their only game of the 2000 campaign. The Chargers would then draft LaDainian Tomlinson and Drew Brees in the 2001 draft after trading the first pick. And then literally the very next season, we'd get our next team, the 2001 Carolina Panthers. They went 7-9 in 2000, and in 2001 had 1 Pro Bowler, tight end Wesley Walls. And they were led by rookie QB Chris Winkie, who was, yes indeed, 29 years old. This team was 28th in yards and won their only game in week 1 of the season versus the Minnesota Vikings. C. Smith Sr. would take the opening kick to the house for the Panthers, and with the score 10-0, the Vikings would finally score a touchdown, and then followed up with another touchdown before missing the extra point. Following that, the momentum would be on Carolina's side as they would score 14 unanswered to win 24-13. And that's the only winning they would be doing, as they would lose their next 15 games to end the season, fire their head coach George Seifert, and then not even get their own first pick because of the new expansion franchise, the Houston Texans. We then wouldn't get another 1-15 team until the Miami Dolphins in 2007. This team, led by quarterback C.O. Lemon, would go into their first season with former Chargers offensive coordinator Cam Cameron at head coach after Nick Saban left for Alabama to start a college football dynasty. And they would have 1 Pro Bowler, being Jason Taylor. And the new era got off to a terrible start, as they would start the season 0-13 before beating the Baltimore Ravens in Week 15. The same Ravens who were on a 7-game losing streak. The same Baltimore Ravens who were the closest team to beating the 16-0 2007 New England Patriots were the same team to lose to the winless Miami Dolphins. And this game had to be one of the craziest endings of all time. With the score tied at 13-all coming out of the 2-minute warning, Dolphins kicker Jay Feely would hit a 29-yard field goal to take a 16-13 lead. Baltimore quarterback Kyle Buller would have been knocked out of the game in the fourth quarter with a concussion, handing the keys to the reigning Heisman Trophy winner from Ohio State, Troy Smith. And now he had a chance to drive his team down the field and win the first game of the season for his new team. He started out the drive hot. Not 1, not 2, but 3 completions in a row for him. 3 passes, 3 first downs. And on 3rd and 10 with 30 seconds left in field goal range, it seemed that the Ravens would settle for a field goal. But the Dolphins let up a 11-yard run on 3rd and 10 to keep the drive alive. And a few plays later on 3rd down, Troy Smith would throw the ball to the end zone that was caught at the 1-yard line. And the Ravens would bypass a shot to win the game on 4th down and kick a game-tying field goal with less than 20 seconds left to essentially send us to overtime. Now I have a question for y'all. Would y'all have gone for it? Let me know in the comments. But in overtime, the Ravens won the toss, and their offense, led by their hot quarterback, would be right back out on the field, back in field goal range after 3 great runs by Willis McGahee, Musa Smith, and Mike Anderson. But the drive would stall, and they would bring out Matt Stover for the game-winning 44-yard field goal attempt. He was 5 of 5 in his career on field goals in overtime, but even he couldn't escape getting iced. And 3 plays later, on 3rd and 8, Dolphins quarterback Cleo Lemon would fire a dot over the middle of the field.
That's caught by Camarillo. It's a foot race with Winburn. Miami has won Miami has won!
Next up, oh man, the 2009 Rams, who also had just one Pro Bowler and running back Steven Jackson, were led by quarterback Mark Bulger to the league's 32nd ranked team in points scored, and this team was also the 31st ranked team in points against. And this team had an easier schedule than the 2008 Detroit Lions, who the year before went 0-16. Those Lions, hilariously, are also the only team the St. Louis Rams would beat in 2009, as they went 2-14. Week 8 of the 2009 season would bring us the 0-7 Rams versus the 1-5 Detroit Lions.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard. Everyone's laughing, by the way, but it's true because everybody's heard it too. Everyone heard it, right? They look at all, everyone's like, yeah, big piece of dog shit.
The Rams, who were so bad, picked off Lions QB Matt Stafford and ran back into the end zone for a safety. The Lions, who were also ridiculously bad at tackling, let the Rams successfully fake a field goal to finally get into the end zone for 6. Later, in the worst matchup of all time, with less than 2 minutes to go, the Rams would run into the end zone for a 25-yard touchdown with their lone Pro Bowler, Steven Jackson. The two horrendous teams would pick 1 and 2 in the 2010 NFL Draft, and oh my god, Oklahoma! Next up, the 2016 Cleveland Browns. We are all familiar with this organization by now, but in 2015, they would go 3-13 and clean house. They fired their GM Ray Farmer, fired head coach Mike Pettine, and brought in Hugh Jackson. They also brought in former Redskins Rookie of the Year quarterback Robert Griffin III, RG3. Remember him? Along with free agent signings Demario Davis and Raheem Moore.
Flacco stepping up and throwing deep down the far sideline. Caught! Into the end zone! Touchdown, Jacoby Jones!
Sorry, Broncos fans. Expectations were high going into the season, just for RG3 to get hurt in the first game of the season. And only like the Browns and Falcons know how, the Browns blew a 20-2 lead to the Ravens in week 2. Many losses later, RG3 would return after the bye week in week 14 to a still winless Browns team. And that would set us up for week 16, the 0-14 Browns versus 5-9 Chargers. The Chargers, who were a 4.5 point favorite, charged it like only they know how. Hilariously, the very first play of the game made this look like a blowout in the making, but Cleveland wouldn't back down and actually took the lead in the second quarter, and then picked off Phillip Rivers and lead 17-10 at halftime. The Chargers, now down 20-10, will finally reach the end zone again in the fourth quarter. The Chargers followed up with a clutch defensive stop and set themselves up to tie the game, but got blocked on a field goal attempt. Don't worry though, the defense clutched up again, and with the shot at redemption, kicker Josh Lambo would miss a 45-yard field goal to tie it, and the Chargers became the only team to lose to the Browns from 2016 to 2017, as the Browns would go 0-16 in 2017. Now down to the most recent team on this list. The 2020 Jacksonville Jaguars, under head coach Doug Marrone, beat the Colts week 1, and oh no, not Phillip Rivers again, but the Jaguars were not satisfied with 1-0.
Right there, that's just a glimpse. We ain't even scratching the surface yet. Do not be satisfied with 1-0. We got a big, another division game coming up. Let's bring it this week in practice. Iron sharpens iron. Let's go win again, baby. Hey, win on 3. 1, 2, 3, win. Do not be satisfied with 1-0. 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 Do not be satisfied with 1-0.
They would then go on to lose their next 20 games and make the worst coaching hire in NFL history. But this is about the 2020 Jaguars, so let's not get too much of a kick out of this. This Jaguars team would have 0 Pro Bowlers and would go on to be the 30th ranked team in points for and the 31st ranked team in points against. But in their only win, they trot out quarterback Gardner Minshew and start down 7-0 before an amazing defensive stand. That would lead us to a tie game. The teams would then trade touchdowns until a last-second field goal put the Colts up 17-14 going into halftime. They would then trade field goals before the Jaguars scored 10 unanswered points with the help of a Rivers interception to avoid the dreadful 0-16 record. And then they would draft number 16, Trevor Lawrence, with the first pick. Speaking of numbers, help me reach 1,000 subscribers. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and comment if you want me to do the pre-2000s 1-15 teams 1 win.